presence of other beings and other people in our experience. And I found this to be very striking because it supports the Catholic Church's fundamental understanding of man and what man is. According to the Catechism, we'll read that man is defined as an individual who possesses the dignity of a person, who is not just something, but someone. That is, man is created with purpose and an inherent value, able to unite the spiritual and material worlds in his own nature. So you might ask, why is this important to know? Or what is the aim or the direction that I'm going in with regards to Merleau-Ponty's thought of the embodied being and the person of man. This is important because from what phenomenologists have studied and what we've seen so far in this discussion, we can be sure that the quality of our experience and the moral responsibility is built into our very being with regards to our intentions and the choices that we make. We can be sure that these choices, these intentions, these meanings, they affect not only our experience, not only our own individual being, not only just me being the sign, but the experience of other people. So that's powerful, how experience is, because it affects not only me, but it affects the other. And as Merleau-Ponty said, we are thrown into existence with other beings. And whether or not he believes that that's just something that's a random case or situation, he is telling us, nevertheless, that reality consists of other beings and that our experiences are affected by one another. So to what empiricists and intellectualists say, there is a characteristic human experience of the world that is beyond what is scientifically measurable. Merleau-Ponty's continuation of Husserl's work attempted to free man of the doubt of the value of his perception through phenomenology by replacing ourselves in the world. To what empiricists and intellectualists say, there is a characteristic human experience of the world that is beyond what is scientifically measurable. Merleau-Ponty's continuation of Husserl's work attempted to free man of the doubt of the value of his perception through phenomenology by replacing ourselves in the world as we actually experience it. So it's evident that Merleau-Ponty focused on problems of perception and embodiment to clarify the relationship between mind and body, the relationship between the knower and what is known. This is nothing new that philosophers have tried to analyze as well, but rather this is something he put into a new perspective. Because, and this is important because, especially, this is important to materialists and to empiricists and intellectualists, because we see through phenomenology that there is an experience of the material and the immaterial. There is a holistic understanding of the embodied man that demonstrates that man is both a spiritual and corporal being whose experience leads to the transcendent. So I'd like to consider how man is able to receive a sacrament. As we know, a sacrament is an outward sign of an invisible reality. At baptism, for example, man receives the true natural matter of water, but he experiences grace in the form. Because as we know in sacrament, there's a matter and there's a form. And St. Augustine once said something that reflects this. He says, I see one reality and understand another. So I may look at a baptismal candle, but in my mind, I'm meditating, I'm pondering on God and the being of God, God as light, God who is the light. And so at the same time, Merleau-Ponty's epistemology gives us insight, actually, into our faith. He gives us insight that we are united with Christ, the Word made flesh, because it is in the person of Christ, in the incarnation, that God who is being, became man. And he took the form of a man. He took the form of a being for. Remember, that's the definition that we discussed earlier. Man is not just a being, but a being for. And it is in his mystical body that we find the source of all truth. So Merleau-Ponty, Heidegger, and other phenomenologists, right? They observe that we are beings for, and they observe that we are beings for who gain knowledge through bodily perceptions and relationships to other beings for other humans. And so with that insight, men and women are able to embrace their identity in relation to the world. This bodily experience of consciousness is captured best, I believe, in the words of Pope John Paul II, who said in Theology of the Body, alone man does not completely realize this essence of being a person. He realizes it only by existing with someone, existing in a mutual for. And the Holy Father acknowledges this term for. He acknowledges that one is only complete in the presence of another. And that's very beautiful because we see how some of the method of phenomenology can also be applied to some truths of our faith, some very fundamental truths of the faith, in that man cannot be whole, he cannot find his being, and he cannot be complete in his being until he is directed towards the being and he lives those truths of becoming a total gift to another. So I'll move on to next slide. Okay, so just an overview.
It's 4
about
o'clock.
Phenomenology. Sorry, that was the clock. So just an overview. Perception is necessary for us to begin to have knowledge. That's how we started with phenomenology. We talked about sensation and perception. And from the phenomenological perspective, the base of the world is meaning. And at the center of being, phenomenology places consciousness there. Consciousness is at the center of being, right? We're a conscious being, we have a conscious experience, and we perceive. And so we realize that consciousness is not just a byproduct of the material in the world, but rather it's a mystery, like the mystery of being. For human understanding to flourish, reality and consciousness must act upon each other in a relationship, not separately. And it is there in following where we do find meaning, where we are able to truly be. So that's all for my presentation. Thank you and God bless.